You already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ RichieSkye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. All right, y'all, we are back in the building, and we got to talk about the brawl of it all and whether or not Phaedra is up to her old tricks. As Quad tells us in a new interview with Sherri Shepherd. Yes, Quad was a guest on the Sherri Shepherd show. I am assuming she is in New York to make the press rounds. We may likely see her on Watch What Happens Live this coming weekend. So it shall be very, very interesting to see what comes of all this. But Quad gives us some reunion tea right off the bat before we get into the Phaedra, the trickery of it all, the brawl of it all. So listen, you guys might want to keep your ears peeled because Quad is going to give us quite a bit of little tea here.
Okay. February the 12th, we're going to be filming. No, the 13th. I'm sorry, we'll be filming the reunion. And
okay, number one, we get the tea that they will be filming the reunion on February 13th. Let me see what day that is on the calendar. Okay, that's a Thursday, y'all. Thursday. So it sounds like that reunion will probably air around March 9th or so. I would imagine sometime thereabouts. If not, yeah, probably about that time, I would imagine. So I would imagine we got about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 more episodes to go of Married to Medicine. If not, at least 4, and that reunion airs on March the 2nd. I'm not really quite sure. But we will be tuned in, tapped in, turned on to it. Now the question will be, will they have a theme for the reunion? I've not heard any tea about the theme. I've seen definitely some guesses about the Potomac thing, and I think we should be getting that info really, really soon because we've been getting a lot of tea about Potomac reunion, interestingly enough. And I want to shout out the Bravo Shade Room for picking this up. Make sure you guys are following the Bravo Shade Room. All right. What else did Miss Quad have to say? Because the headline reads, Quad says while on the couple's trip, her man, Dr. G got in his feelings and her man, King, checked him. No man is going to allow another man to disrespect his woman, especially in his presence. And she's disappointed in Phaedra because she's up to her same tricks. Okay. Now, what tricks might that be? I have a feeling I know what she's referring to. So I want to definitely get into the next part of the interview, especially with regards to Dr. G.
what is there something that we can expect from this? A lot of things. Ooh. You know, the deal is that a lot of emotions were evoked. I think
so it'll be interesting also to see whether or not will Phaedra show up, will Sweet T and Dr. G show up. I couldn't really tell based on the interview whether or not Sweet T and Dr. G would really show up to the reunion. Based on what Sweet T said in the interview, she still didn't know.
the setup that people had for me season 10, they actually set themselves up season 11.
Okay, interesting. She says the setup that people have for her in season 10, they actually had set up for them in season 11. One would think that she was talking about when the girls kicked her to the curb on the trip, but I think she's talking about something else.
Getting into it off face first. You know what I'm saying? Really? So I think that's what happened. Yeah, I think we were recently on.
So we're going to talk. Here's where we get into the tea of it all.
A couple's trip. You know, we do that every season. Yes. And this time, you know, I brought my man with me. You know, and everybody thought it was a great idea when my
Okay.
my ex-husband and his new wife came on the trip. Yeah. But the people were not ready for what I had in store.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. So do you think Quad came ready to play? Do you think this was her moment of like, because here's the thing, I feel like Quad, your actual beef, in my opinion, should not be with T and Dr. G. Your actual beef should be with the people that brought them there, to be honest, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, okay? But I'm assuming it would be easier to have animosity toward. And listen, here's the thing. This is what I don't understand though about it, because at the end of last season, it sounded like she walked up to Dr. G at the Met Gala and asked if she could hug his neck a little bit. You remember that? So it seemed to me like all should be well, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Should all be well? So, you know, and of course they flashed this photo. So you would have to imagine that she's speaking of the people, those people, they in the picture weren't ready for me and my man.
I'm just saying, big one.
So, I mean, I don't know. Who do you think she should really be upset about? Like, do you think she should be more upset at Dr. G and Sweet Tea for being on the show, or her group of friends for inviting them to be on the show?
Just saying. You gotta love it. I love it. You know, my ex-husband got in his feelings, became a little belligerent and irate, and King checked him on.
Okay, so she says that Dr. G became belligerent and in his feelings. So is she implying that he was drunk or something like that? Because I mean, when I think of belligerent, I'm thinking usually like, you know, we on vacation, we all, you know, having a little sippy of coconut rum or something like that. I mean, I don't really drink coconut rum like that, but actually maybe I should. That sounds good right about now. Okay, it really does. Ain't no rum in this decaf coffee though. Meanwhile, she goes on to state that, you know, King checks her man. King, oh my God, Lord forgive me. King checks her ex-husband because, you know, she says that he's a man's man and he's not going to let somebody else disrespect her in his presence. So that's why the brawl will allegedly occur, according to Quad. Now, again, I say alleged because we ain't seen it yet. Okay, so it's going to play out on the screen. She goes into Phaedra when she says that Phaedra, you know, she felt like, basically she implies that Phaedra did some things to try to set her up. It seems like that's what it felt like. And I think what she's talking about, and I'm paraphrasing, she basically felt like Phaedra, and I'm assuming what she's referring to is this meeting that Phaedra allegedly had with production to either get Quad removed or have Quad, I don't know, have something done to Quad so that Quad couldn't have access to her or the money or in some way, shape, or form. We've heard this story before. We've heard it several times. And I'm assuming it was at the start of this season, I think, based on the fact that Quad had said that something to the effect that, you know, she was benched from Real Housewives of Atlanta because of Candy or something. I think that was the case. So Quad had we had learned that, you know, they had had a conversation before the previous cast trip, and Phaedra had apologized, and that was what the comment was about. That's why they were upset. But in this interview, she says that, you know, because Sherry asked about her and Phaedra and said that she loved them as a duo. And, you know, Quad says she's very just disappointed in Phaedra. And she feels like, you know, it's taken everything in her not to slay her, I guess, right now, with what she could say, but she is not going to go there. And she does feel like when asked if there was ever a road to repair, she says yes, if Phaedra stopped her same tricks that she's always been doing, then yes, there could be a road to reconciliation. So at least there's some hope there, maybe. I like Phaedra and Quad. I also think it would have been interesting to see either Toya or Quad go to Housewives. It would have been an easy bridge for Quad to go over to Housewives. But if you take Quad out of Married to Medicine loses some of its comedy. It will be nothing ever to me like seeing Quad pop up out of the coffin. I mean, when I look back on it, it's so ridiculous that it's just like, girl, why would you get in this coffin? Why would you agree to that? But it definitely made a moment, and Phaedra was a part of it. Okay. Listen, before we dive into our next story, make sure you guys are following me on the Snapchat. Make sure you follow me. You can scan the QR code that's at the top of the screen right now. And of course, you guys get my new book. I don't have a copy of it in here because I did give that copy away. But get my new book, The Wickedest Wives, book 2. We have nearly 100 reviews on book 1. Listen, let's get these reviews going for book 2, because when I release book 3, I need the people to see how good book 2 is. Okay, so head on over to the Amazon and tap the review button, baby. Tap that review. Let me know which characters you feeling the most, because it gives me an idea of who to spin off with after book number 3. All right, so while we are talking all things Housewives, let's take things over to the Real Housewives of Potomac. And we're going to talk about this preview clip that we get for the new episode. So if you don't want to be spoiled, y'all, I hate to tell you, but we're going to spoil you right now, okay? We're going to spoil you right now. We're going to spoil you right now. All right, in this coming episode, there's going to be a scene where you have Giselle, Karen, Ashley, and Kiana all sitting together. And Kiana opens up about her relationship. It's interesting to me that I like Kiana. I would like to actually have a conversation with Kiana. It's interesting to me that she's a full-time housewife when her husband, or not her husband, but her, well, I can't say her fiance either, because they're not yet engaged as far as I know, does not want her to be a part of this show. She really goes into, him not wanting to, he's only going to do what he's going to do, and he's not going to do anymore. Basically, he's not, I get the impression that I get from this scene is he don't really want to film. He don't really want to be a part of it, and he don't want her to be a part of it. This is concerning for the ladies, specifically Giselle, who really, I enjoy when Giselle puts on her first lady hat. And I feel like this is where she is usually most useful on the show, because whether or not you respect her opinion, I do when I see her have these levels of conversation, especially with regards to the women on the show. I feel like she is coming from a place of, this is my lived experience. And she says basically to Kiana, if you were my daughter, I would tell you to never leave your life in the hands of a man, right? So if there's something that you want to do and he's not supportive of you, that may be a red flag. But we also have to remember that, listen, there are 2 things that are involved in this situation. Not everybody wants to be on a reality TV show, because on this show, traditionally in the past, the men have been the targets. The men have somehow been the targets as a way to get to or at the other women. And I think that anybody who has seen this show can probably recognize that. Now, it has seemed less so in this season, but it does seem like it has been a prevalent story throughout the multiverse that is Housewives, specifically Potomac, right? And then we also must remember that Kiana was popped with a bottle, okay? And as a result, you know, her man flew her to Paris to, you know, relax, relate, release, and recover. And I can understand his concerns. What if it happens again? What if someone else gets upset with you and they take a low blow at you and you like it is par for the course on these shows? So I do understand his plight to a certain degree. So this is a sticky situation. Um, when I look outside of those facts, I also, in some way, shape, or form, see it doesn't seem like when we see them on camera, there's much of a connection. But that could also be the fact that this man does not want to be on the camera. So there, it begs the question: when you have someone like a Jazzy, whose man doesn't seem to mind being on camera, why would you not also include her more in this mix? Because he seems more willing, and it doesn't seem to be such a big factor. Because will you be able to keep Kiana on the show if she's in a situation or a relationship where her man doesn't want to be a part of it? Do we still get that full story that we are hoping or looking for? And where is Jazzy? We've not seen her since before the cast trip. So I just I don't really get it, but that's just me. And I like Kiana a lot. In this confessional, she has a confessional in this. And now the links will be in the description. If you dig down into the links of the description of this video, I always put the source links unless I forget. And please charge that to my mind and not my heart. But you will see a confessional look from her in this, and it is gorgeous. I'm actually going to see if I can bring it up because I don't want to play this clip per se, but the confessional look it's dynamite. It is absolutely dynamite. But I will say that I do like that in this scene, the ladies do rally around her. Um, and I think that if you're looking for a cast member or a reality TV show personality who really feels very authentic, then I think that Kiana is probably the way to go. It just depends on what you're looking for. I think that on some shows like the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we're not looking for people that feel relatable as much as we're looking for maybe relatable moments, right? You know, a Mary M. Cosby does not necessarily always feel relatable, but she gave us so many relatable moments. And a part of that, I believe, is that she had developed a level of trust with the production of it all. And I don't think that she had that level of trust with production in her earlier seasons, nor with the ladies. And I think that production kept her on the periphery and utilized Mary as the joke of it all. And I do, that's how I feel. So I think that I wonder if the same can be said for Kiana, who I think ultimately gives us everything that we need. But I also think that there is going to be a bit of an issue if she cannot resolve this situation with her man. This is the confessional look that I'm speaking about. I just thought that it was, I mean, she looks like a goddess here. She brings the looks, she brings there's a grounding about her that I feel like every show needs. And I hope to see more of that. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think. Shout out to the Reality Rundown. Let me make sure that I also click like and support the post. Make sure you guys do the same when you go and check out the links. With that being said, make sure you guys have tuned in, tapped in to all things DJ Richie Skye. Make sure you also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Like this video if you like reality TV related content. And remember, again, also too, we do have our trip to Zanzibar coming up September 22nd through the 28th. You will definitely want to be on that trip if you have not experienced Africa. I am still working to reschedule the Cape Town trip. I, of course, have just needed a bit of extra time because it is very challenging to mentally get oneself completely back together after losing a loved one in the way that I have, and I know that many of you have. So I'm just asking for a bit of grace as I continue on that journey. So with that being said, I will, of course, catch you all in the next video.